Likes to sit in front of the cantor. I think I'm too loud. Is that D? Was that D major? F major. That's close to D major. Oh, Leona's here. We can start.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
That goes for everyone at home too.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom and welcome to the new season of Torah as we celebrate Shabbat Bereshit. It is so great to have you here in person in the Sonnenschein Family Sanctuary, as well as online on Zoom, Facebook, and all our streaming media. I will point out that only those here in the Sonnenschein Family Sanctuary get to enjoy the amazing oneg that's going to be following the service. Yes, we do induce people to be here in person with food, and there's nothing wrong with that.
I think there'll be plenty.
I think there may be. It is wonderful to have you all here. We're going to begin our service with the blessing over the Shabbat candles. If you have your prayer book, we're on page 120. Cantor.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner להדליק נר של שבת.
Amen. Let's continue with the Kabbalat Shabbat section, page 131, Psalm 96.
שירו לאדוני, שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני, כל הארץ. שירו לאדוני, ברכו שמו, הבשרו מיום ליום ישועתו. ספרו בגויים כבודו, וכל העמים נפלאותיו. כי גדול אדוני, וגדול על מאורו, לא יראו על כל אלוהים. כי כל אלוהי האלים אלילים, ואדוני שמיים עשה, הוד והדר לפניו, עוז ותפארת במקדשו. ישמחו השמיים,
השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, ותגר הארץ.
ישמחו השמיים, השמיים, ישמחו השמיים. ישמחו השמיים, ותגר הארץ. ירם הים, ירם הים, ירם הים ומלואו. ירם הים, ירם הים, ירם הים ומלואו. יעלו שרי וכל אשר בו, אשר עננו קרצי יער. לפני אדוני קיווה, קיווה לשפוט הארץ. לשפוט תבל בצדק, ועמים באמונתו.
And the Chad Odi welcomes the Shabbat as our beloved, page 138, verses 1, 2, 5, and 9.
דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת מקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת מקבלה. שמעו וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל עם אחד, אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד, ושם ולתפארת ולתהילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת מקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת מקבלה. Verse 2. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי מקור הברכה, בראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת מקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת מקבלה. Verse 5. התעוררי, התעוררי, תברך קומי אורי, אורי שתדברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת מקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת מקבלה.
Rise for the final verse.
בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת מקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת מקבלה.
Now that we've welcomed Shabbat, let's welcome each other. Those at home get to be in breakout groups for a couple minutes. And folks here, find someone you don't know, introduce yourself, say Shabbat Shalom. Welcome back, everybody.
Welcome back.
Well, let's take a moment to check in with the folks online. Let's see. How is Gary Phillips doing? Bachelor Gary Phillips, while Ellen
Bachelor Gary Phillips. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I can barely hear you. I don't know. I'm sure I'm not doing something right, but I can barely hear you, but I can hear you. Bachelor is pretty good. Managing through this.
Excellent. Well,
hopefully, I'll see if I can get there tomorrow.
Glad to have you on joining us. Let's see. How about Ann Moskowitz? Ann, how you doing?
I can't hear you very well.
Okay.
And it was fine before.
It was fine before, but not so much now. Matthew doesn't know what's happening. Matthew's looking at me like I don't know what's happening. Well, in that case, let's ask the folks online to send chat messages about the highlight of their week. And while you're doing that, folks here, anyone want to share a highlight of the week? Highlight of the week? Apart from being here tonight, of course. Is that what you're going to say, Alan? Excellent answer. Yeah, Denise. Saw your grandkids. Grandniece. Grandniece. Wow. That's wonderful. Let's see. We had someone, okay, Tiernuk successfully cut her own hair. Looks wonderful. Linda and Bruce went and had a B'nai Mitzvah in Memphis with their family, Mazel Tov. And let's see, getting to see grandkids tomorrow. And Nancy Marcus is just thrilled to be here all the way from San Diego online. Now that we're one big happy community, online and in person, let's join together in the call to prayer, page 146. Baruch Hu. Please rise if you're here.
Et Adonai HaMevorach, Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, Le'olam va'ed, Le'olam va'ed. Yalalai, lai, lai, yalalai, lai, lai, yalalai, lai, lai, lalalai, lai, lai. La 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 la.
Please be seated. On page 150, let's join together for Ahavat Olam.
Ahavat Olam, Israel, Torah u'mitzvot, u'kiyum mishpatim, otanu limadeta, otanu limadeta. Al ken Adonai Eloheinu v'shachmeinu v'kumenu nasiach v'chukecha ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד, כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגה יומם בלילה, נגה יומם בלילה.
We rise for the Shema, page 152.
Baruch atah
Baruch
Adonai,
Shema.
Ohev Amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Page 154.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Elohechem emet. Please be seated. The foot of page 157. Let's read responsively. Page 157. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth.
The high heavens declare your glory.
May earth reveal your justice and love. From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way.
Inspired
by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed.
Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea.
Page 158.
Mi kamocha ba'im Adonai, mi kamocha nerav hakodesh, no ragilot osefel, no ragilot osefel. Hey, yam bam bim bim bam, yam bam bim bam, yam bam bim bim bam, yam bam bim bam. Ay 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 ay, yam bam bim bam. Ay 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 ay, yam bam bim bam. Malchutech rahu banecha, bokei hayam לפני משה ומרים. תהי זלי אנו ואמרו, תהי זלי אנו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר כי יפדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
Amen. At the top of page 161, let's join together in the English. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up, waiting to do your will.
Baruch atah Adonai,
Baruch Shemo.
haporei sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim.
Page 162 is Vishamru. Now, this is not the Tevye Fiddler on the Roof Vishamru, which, by the way, I don't know if any of you saw the video clip. They are getting ready for a new Yiddish language presentation on Broadway of Fiddler on the Roof. And if you haven't seen the clips of them rehearsing, go and search for it. It's really cool. We're not doing that Vishamru,
But they won't
though.
be singing this Vishamru.
They will not be. But this does require those present and able to please rise. And I hope you're wearing your dancing shoes, because you're going to want to dance to this one.
You could even square dance.
And the
to
folks
this
at
one.
home, we're watching
This is a
you.
hootenanny.
We're watching you. You can dance in your seats. You can move around. And there's prizes at the end. Yeah, the folks here get to eat at the Oneg. That's the prize. Okay.
Shamru b'nei Yisrael Shabbat La'asot et HaShabbat Gdola Shamru b'nei Yisrael Shabbat La'asot et HaShabbat Gdola B'nei Yuven b'nei Yisrael Oti l'olam Shabbat, Shamru b'nei Yisrael, Shabbat, La'asot et HaShabbat, Sheishet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. Sheishet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. Shamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat, La'asot et HaShabbat Shamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat, La'asot et HaShabbat Uvayom hasheri Shabbat vayinafash. Uvayom hasheri Shabbat vayinafash. Shamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat, La'asot et HaShabbat L'dorotam v'gdolam. Shamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat, La'asot et HaShabbat L'dorotam v'gdolam. L'dorotam v'gdolam. L'dorotam v'gdolam. Yep. It's a yipper.
That really got us into the oneg of Shabbat, the joy of Shabbat, and ready, since we're standing, to turn to the Amidah, the central prayer, page 164. And note, this is the first Shabbat
Thank you for
following Simchas Torah, which means on page 1, when we get to page 168, we're now going to be doing the winter insert, Mashiv Haruach Umarid Hagashem, praying for the winds to come and the rain to fall in the rainy season, which we hope will happen here as well.
God willing. Adonai sifatai tiftach ולפי הגיד תהילתך. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו, אלוהי אברהם, אלוהי יצחק ואלוהי יעקב, אלוהי שרה, אלוהי רבקה, אלוהי רחל ואלוהי לאה, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומר חסדים טובים וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. 168. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, בחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, נחיה הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורו ומי דומה לך, מלך אמת ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Please be seated. Page 173, let's read together. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Amen. On page 175, רצה אדוני אלוהינו בעמך ישראל ותפילתם באהבה תקבל. ותהי לרצון תמיד עבודת ישראל עמך, ברוך אתה אדוני שעודך לבדך ביראה נעבוד.
Amen.
And on page 177, a prayer of thanksgiving. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all these and more we offer thanks.
Baruch atah Adonai,
Baruch Shemo.
Batov shimcha ulecha na'eh lehodot.
Amen. A prayer for peace. Page 178.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Yotahu Melech Adon Lechol HaShalom. Yotahu
השלום,
לכל השלום, שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם.
שלום רב על ישראל עמך,
תשים לעולם.
וטוב
בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה לשלומך.
שלום רב על ישראל עמך,
תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם.
תשים
לעולם, תשים לעולם.
ברוך אתה אדוני,
ברוך שמו,
המברך את עמו ישראל.
Let's take a few moments for silent prayer.
Shalom, Friends, let's turn our thoughts and prayers to those who are in need of healing. Page 382. Some are here with us tonight in person, others at home, on Zoom or streaming, recovering from surgery, treatments, awaiting diagnoses, struggling with mental illness and infertility. We think of them all, along with those who are suffering from COVID and its after effects, and those struggling with addiction. רפאנו, אדוני ונרפא. הושיענו ונבשע. אל קרוב לכל קרב, אף קרוב לרעב ישור. אל נא רפנה, אל נא רפנה. רפואת הנפש ורפואת הגוף, רפואה שלמה, רפואה שלמה. הושיע את עמך וברך את נחלתך, וראה ונשא למען העולם. משברך אבותינו, משברך אמותינו, אנא אדוני הושיענה. אל נא רפנה, אל נא הצילנה. רפואת הנפש ורפואת הגוף, רפואה שלמה, רפואה הילסנה שלמה, הילסנה שלמה.
Before we join together in the Kiddush, just want to point out some things that are happening here. We have some folks here in person who get to be in this space and feel it real tangibly, and get to enjoy the oneg. Did I mention that? And we also have folks joining us online and having a meaningful experience doing that, whether it's from home and it's hard for them to get out for various reasons. I actually got a message this morning from Barbara Myers, who said the following: good shoppers, I'm at a conference in Las Vegas, so I won't be alive at services tonight or tourist study tomorrow. Sending my regrets. Hope to see you on Zoom. And guess what? Barbara Myers is on Zoom, so she is alive. And I hope to see her at tourist study tomorrow morning. What you folks here in person also don't know is that Albert, Jennifer, and Savvy are joining us for Shabbat services from Legoland, and I have been able, and anyone else on Zoom has been able to see all the great rides that have been going on and walking around in Legoland. And Tirnak posted links to all the videos of the Fiddler on the Roof in Yiddish. I just want us to notice, this is an amazing moment of transformation in technology where in-person and online is starting to kind of intersect in meaningful ways. Of course, some things are lost, but a lot of things are gained. And I think we're getting a little glimpse of some of the possibilities that the future holds for us. Hopefully we can guard against the things that might be detracting from it, but let's embrace the things that we can get, the holiness that comes with it. And one of those things that we do to make this Shabbat day holy is we pronounce the Kiddush the words of holiness over wine or grape juice. We got some here in person, and folks online, hopefully you've got your Kiddush cup, wine or grape juice. And those present, please rise.
Vayera vayivoker yom hashishi, vayichulu hashemayim va'aretz v'chol tzva'am, vayichal Elohim bayom hashevi'im lachto asher asa, vayishbot bayom hashevi'im mikom lachto asher asa, vayivarech Elohim et yom hashevi'i v'kadesh oto, ki vo shavat mikom lachto, asher bara Elohim alasot, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava u'ratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh bereishit. Hu yom techilah l'mikra'ei kodesh, zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim, kivanu v'chata, v'otanu kidashta, b'chol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha, v'ahava u'ratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat l'chaim. Please be seated. P.S. on our shout out to Barbara Myers, who I hope was able to hear our greetings to her, a cautionary tale on the use of voice to text, especially when using Hebrew terms. Be very careful. And if you get a strange message from me, just try and read it through the lens of voice to text and forgive. Remember we used to put that message, forgive the fat fingers? Similar to that. So folks, we are at the beginning. The beginning of the Torah. Simchas Torah was Sunday night for us. Some celebrated it Monday night. And we rolled the Torah back to the beginning, just like we used to do with the VHS tapes back in the days of Blockbuster. What was it? Be Kind, Rewind. And so on this Shabbat, I thought it would be appropriate, since we know the story so well of the first parsha, it's one of the most well-known sections of the Torah, and it's made it into general culture through the Christian reading of our Torah. Famous parts, the first few words as translated in many English translations, in the beginning. We know there's the creation story, there's the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve, and there's the story of Cain and Abel. We know all of that. But I want to share tonight 5 things that I think you might find surprising about this very first and very well-known section of Torah. Let's go through them. The first is
the first surprising thing is that there isn't one creation story. There's two. Two creation stories, and they're not the same. Tradition, over the centuries, has tried to assimilate them with each other so that they're harmonized. But modern scholars believe that the two stories reflect two different traditions that came down to the scholars and the scribes who eventually knitted together the text that we call the Torah over centuries. So that's the first surprising thing. There's not one creation story, but two. The second surprising thing relates to the first. There are two creation stories, and specifically two versions of how humanity was created. In one version, the version found in chapter 2, we read that the earthling, created alone, needed someone as a companion, went to sleep. And there's some differences on the translation, but from the first earthling's side, maybe rib, came Isha, a woman, the origin of man and woman. That's the second version. But the first version is one that we don't hear so often. And that is that, let me read the Hebrew. Vayivra Elohim et ha'adam b'tselem Elohim bara oto. And God created the earthling in God's image. The image of God, God created it. Zachar v'necheva bara otam. Created them, female and male. According to Bereshit Rabbah, a legend of the rabbis from centuries ago, in fact, Rabbi Yirmiyahu ben Elazar, this version of the creation story tells us that the first human was what's called in Greek an androgynos. Sound familiar? Androgynous. The first human was male and female. The first human was without specific binary gender. Don't hear that very much, do we? That's a little surprising. In fact, for another situation, another time, we could talk about the surprising 6 genders that the Talmud describes. Not 2. The rabbis knew that it wasn't a binary choice. So that's the second surprising thing. I'm sure you're going to want to know what the third is. The third surprising thing is the first humans were expected to be vegan. The Torah is very clear to eat of the nuts and the fruit. No mention of eating animals or dairy products or whatsoever. The first sanction to do so doesn't arrive till next week's Torah portion. After the flood that we hear about in Parshat Noach, about Noah and his family, the people were destroyed by the flood for violence, and meat eating became a diversion. Don't be violent to each other. Channel that violence, if you have to animals. But the ideal is what the first people were given. Veganism. Another surprising thing. Fourth surprising thing, the Torah has an original sin, but it doesn't talk about the original sin. Some of you may recall I spoke about this over the High Holy Days. There's a first sin, and that is that Adam and Eve partook of fruit from a tree that they were told, But the Torah doesn't talk about how that act then became a hereditary stain on humanity thereafter. Not at all. It's not mentioned there at all. Which brings us to the fifth surprising thing and connects us to what we did just prior to these words of Torah. The very first thing in the entire Torah that God makes holy, that God makes sacred, is time. The seventh day, Shabbat, is made holiness, reminding us that the most important resource that we hold is the flash in a pan, the moment, whether it's literally just a few moments of life or 120 years of life. That is our greatest resource and can be made holy through our actions, our aspirations, and our choices. So, those are the 5 surprising things. I wonder if you found them surprising. I wonder if you have other things in this parsha that would be surprising to others. I'd like to hear about them more. And if you want to unpack these and hear more about it, guess what? Tomorrow at 9 o'clock, Torah study is back in person in the library with bagels. Did I say we use the food a lot to encourage people to come? We will unpack these 5 surprises. So come to Torah study tomorrow morning, and you'll get to hear about the fact that there are 2 creation stories for humans, that we were supposed to be vegan. The original sin is not the original sin. And let's make time holy. Amen.
Amen.
Friends, we'll turn now to page 586 and the Aleinu. And those present, please rise.
עלינו לשבח אלון הכל, עתיד גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסר ארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינת עוזו בגובהי מרומים, ואלוהינו אין עוד, ואנחנו קוראים, ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Let's remain standing as we turn to page 598 for Kaddish Yatom, the mourner's Kaddish. And on this Shabbat Bereshit, we're in the Shloshim mourning period for Lita Ruth Mintz. It's the yahrzeit, the anniversary of the deaths of Eleanor Abram, Pamela Adelson, Diane Alpert, Howard Ant, Anita Austin, Priscilla Bain, Gerald Bretz, Patricia Brown, Alice June Dougherty, Sherwood Freed, Michelle Nina Liddell, Gertrude Lewin, Donald Lipman, Harry Lipsy, Arlene Quint, Abraham Joseph Ray, Sidney Israel Rothschild, Leslie Sachs, Lena Shine, Ernest Schnessel, Lawrence Silverman, Pearl Spitz, James Andrew Strogoff, and Eloise Sybil Wright. We also remember those who've died through acts of senseless hatred and terrorism and war here in the U.S., in Israel, in Ukraine, and elsewhere. Those who've died from COVID-19, those who've died through gun-related deaths and shootings. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be for an abiding blessing. Together, Yitkadav, Yitkadash, Shmei Rabbah. V'yamad yivrach yiratei, v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayachon, v'yomechon, l'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael. V'agalav v'zman kariv, v'imru amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mevarach le'alam l'amei amaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ah v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitada v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shmei d'kudsha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Damiran v'alma v'yimru amen. Yehei shalama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. V'yimru amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'yimru amen. May the one who brings peace to those who mourn bring peace to all the mourners of Zion and Israel and those among us tonight. And we say, amen.
Amen.
And please be seated, all except our fabulous first vice president, Matthew Cabrera, who just sat down because he doesn't know the routine quite yet, but boy, oh boy, will he know the routine before it's done. Matt Cabrera's got some words of welcome and some announcements, and Cantor has a fantastic handheld mic for you, which you need to eat.
Eat.
Did we say we eat here at Temple Bat Yahm?
Apparently we have an onig tonight.
We do. I can't wait. I'm hungry.
We're always hungry. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you for joining us in person, everyone on Zoom. It's great to see everyone up there streaming on our website. A huge thank you, as always, to Rabbi Zilberman, Cantor Grant, Mr. Paul over here, Matthew and Aaron in the back, our ushers, who, if I didn't know better, I would think Greg and Stephen live here, but I guess, and our whole TBY team for making tonight happen. As Rabbi Zilberman is completely oversold at this point, we invite you to join us for it says light onig. I don't think it's going to be light because there's not too many of us. So I'm going to say a heavier onig in the Schuster Courtyard following services. This weekend, as Rabbi previewed, Torah study is in person and on Zoom tomorrow at 9 a.m. with our lovely Rabbi Zilberman. We start the Torah from the beginning again this Saturday with Bereshit, and we will resume in-person Torah study each week in the Marcus Library. Streaming will be available, but for everyone who shows up in person, there will be coffee and bagels. JCal is in session this Sunday at 9 a.m., followed by a coffee and chat at 9:30. Rabbi, is that with you? Okay, that is with Rabbi. So please show up for that. I apologize for pulling out my phone. The announcements got cut off a little bit, but very importantly on Sunday, WTBY's Membership Appreciation Brunch is from 10:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Newport Beach Yacht Club. This will be featuring the South Coast Symphony String Quartet. Fully paid membership dues to WTBY for 2022-23 are required to attend. The event sounds amazing. Hope to see plenty of WTBY members there. Other programs and events coming up. We have the adult education staple, The Foundations of Judaism, year-long exploration of the people, culture, and history of Judaism, every Wednesday night on Zoom at 6 p.m. If you go to our website, tby.org, the link to that Zoom is there. Let's see. For adult ed, TBY Reads is presenting their first book of this season. It is Noah Tishby's Israel. That's the title of the book. A simple guide to the most misunderstood country on earth. This will be Tuesday, October 25th at noon on the TBY campus. Lunch will be offered, therefore RSVPs are necessary. You may RSVP to Mr. Rob Greenfield. His email is pretty easy to remember, robgreenfield@cox.net, to reserve your spot and if you have any questions about the event. Sorry, they're making me skip around. WTBY also has launched a new year with a myriad of programs. Rosh Chodesh Tishrei with Rabbi Reina Gewurtz and Cantor Linda Ecker will be discussing the spirit of women, a Jewish take on ghosts and goblins, on Tuesday, October 25th at 7 o'clock p.m. only on Zoom. WTBY dines out next on Thursday, October 27th at 6 p.m. This time they will be eating at True Food at Fashion Island. Another thing I'm jealous of because that place is awesome. There are a lot more programs and events happening, so please make sure you check out the calendar on tby.org to see all of the fun events going on. And lastly, certainly not least, our amazing rabbi, Dr. Rabbi Gersh Zilberman, will be honored during our next Shabbat services this next Friday, October 28th, for who he is and what he has done for our congregation during the COVID pandemic. A new pastoral internship program has been created in his name at Hebrew Union College Jewish Institute of Religion that will train future rabbis to provide the same care that our wonderful rabbi gives to our community. This honor will be presented to him by Andrew Refeld, PhD, who's the president of HUCJR, and Josh Hollow, PhD, Dean of the Jack H. Skirball campus. Following services, we will dine together and also have a lovely fireside chat with Rabbi Zilberman and the leaders to discuss the importance of pastoral care. All are welcome to join us, and you can please RSVP via our website. A huge thank you to the incomparable Leona Aronoff-Sadaka, who, Leona, I assume you're going to be there. Yeah, that's what I figured. Okay. So thank you to Leona for bringing this evening to fruition and providing a legacy for the work of our rabbi. I will absolutely be there. I highly encourage as many members of our congregation to attend. I can think of no one more deserving of this next Shabbat than our lovely rabbi. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you. Shabbat Shalom. Much appreciated. Our closing song, did I mention followed by an oneg with fabulous food? Our closing song, what is our closing song tonight? Canna Grant?
It's Shalom Aleichem, which is traditionally sung on the way to your meal.
Well, that's
Shabbat.
perfect. And of course, after Shalom Aleichem, before we go to the oneg for the delicious oneg, we have some challah here, and we'll say the motzi.
Absolutely.
Folks at home can get their challah ready, but they can't come to the oneg. But they can come to Bagels and Torah study tomorrow. Please rise. Shalom Aleichem, page 627. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Amlakim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Amlakim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Barakuni l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Amlakim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Sitechem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Malachei Hamelach HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And we now thank God for bringing forth bread from the earth, saying,
Baruch
Baruch
atah
atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz v'te'avon. Good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos, everyone.
Dun, 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 dun.